It has been years since the Virgin Mary gave birth to a baby boy in a humble setting. A dark-skinned Jewish man who would forever change the course of history through the love and power of God himself. Mary brought forth Jesus, who would go on to be the most significant figure ever to walk the earth. This wasn't just a birth, it was the fulfillment of a divine promise and the beginning of a story that would echo throughout the ages. Jesus didn't come as a mighty king or warrior, as some had expected the Messiah to be, but as a humble child. His life, from the very beginning, was a reflection of God's plan, one rooted in love, humility, and sacrifice. As Jesus grew, his teachings and actions would challenge the norms of society, becoming a revolutionary figure not in the way people expected, but in a much deeper spiritual sense. He lived his life as a perfect example of love and grace, teaching forgiveness, mercy, and the coming of God's kingdom. His death on the cross and resurrection 3 days later were the culmination of his mission. It wasn't just about performing miracles or speaking wise words, it was about defeating death itself and offering eternal life to all who believed in him. This man, born in a small town in Israel, would go on to split history into two, before Christ BC and after Christ AD, forever shaping the world. However, while Jesus was living out the greatest story ever told, something else was happening 961 miles north. Another baby was being born, but this child wouldn't live the most important story instead. He would be the one to tell it. His name was Saul. Although his beginning didn't seem as monumental, his impact would be felt far and wide. While Jesus changed the world through his life, death, and resurrection, Saul would change the world by spreading that message to people who never thought they could be a part of God's plan. Born in Tarsus, a city in modern-day Turkey, Saul was of the tribe of Benjamin. His name carried significant weight, likely named after King Saul, Israel's first king, a man who started strong but ended in jealousy and betrayal. Saul's birthplace, Tarsus, was a significant hub of trade, culture, and education, under Roman control for about 70 years. This unique environment shaped his understanding of the world, giving him a blend of Jewish roots and Roman citizenship. Growing up in Tarsus, Saul was exposed to a variety of ideas, philosophies, and cultures, laying the groundwork for his future mission to change the world. In ancient Tarsus, universities flourished, rivaling even Athens, the intellectual heart of Greece. Young Saul witnessed scholars and traders from across the Mediterranean sharing knowledge and goods, immersed in a cosmopolitan environment. Yet, amidst this diversity, Saul's family remained devoutly Jewish. His father, a tent maker and Pharisee, shaped his upbringing with a focus on the law of Moses, a tradition Saul would inherit. By age 14, Saul was sent to Jerusalem to study under the esteemed Rabbi Gamaliel, a luminary of his time, known for making the Jewish law relevant to daily life. Saul quickly distinguished himself, proving to be a bright, passionate student with a deep commitment to Jewish traditions. Gamaliel emphasized critical thinking, urging students to connect their studies with the realities of life under Roman rule. This rigorous education made Saul not only a devout Pharisee, but also an astute intellectual, skilled in defending his faith. His intense dedication to preserving Jewish identity would subsequently fuel his opposition against the followers of Jesus. Saul's story is one of a promising young scholar whose zeal for tradition would lead him down an unexpected path, one that would change the course of history. Trained in the art of public speaking and the nuances of Jewish law, Saul was not just a scholar, but a rising star among the Pharisees. With his Roman citizenship, he held a unique position of influence. But just as Saul prepared to step into a position of power, a new movement began to spread, a movement that challenged everything he believed in. This movement, known as the Way, followed the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, who had been crucified, but whose followers claimed he had risen from the dead. To Saul, This was not just heresy, it was a direct threat. Fueled by his zeal for the law and the desire to defend his faith, Saul quickly became one of the most notorious persecutors of early Christians. He believed he was doing God's work. Present at the stoning of Stephen, one of the first deacons of the church, Saul's resolve only grew stronger. He viewed himself as the defender of the Jewish faith, willing to stop at nothing. After Stephen's execution, many Christians fled, spreading the news of Jesus. When Saul learned that the way was gaining ground in Damascus, he knew he had to act. Armed with letters from the high priest, Saul set out on his journey with a single mission: to arrest the followers of Jesus. But he didn't yet know that God had a very different plan for his life.